Today's episode on the podcast is one of the Triathlon Nutrition Academy athletes, Sarah Barr. Sarah is a family physician based in the US and is a very proud back of the packer triathlete and proof that this sport is not just about speed, it's about persistence, joy in what you do, and fueling yourself to go the distance no matter what type of racing that you do. I love Sarah's story. It is so inspiring. She's overcome cancer, she's managing osteoporosis, and is still chasing big goals like 70.3s. She's got a couple of marathons on the card for 2026, and her ultimate dream of completing a full distance Ironman event for her 62nd birthday. Before the Triathlon Nutrition Academy, Sarah was super disciplined with nutrition. She counts calories and feels more at peace when she does that. She avoids processed foods like flour and sugar, and she eats quite routinely over the week and over the days to maintain that consistency for herself. But what she didn't know was how to eat to be a triathlete and how to periodize her nutrition to her training. And over the last 12 months, she has significantly increased her fueling and learned how to support both her health and performance in doing that, is now training so much stronger than she ever has before. And the key message from Sarah's journey that I wanted to share with you is that nutrition isn't just for podium athletes. It's just as important for the back of the packers who still want to finish strong and have a good day out there and also stay healthy for the long term. She herself will tell you that she's slow. Every time I talk to her, she tells me that she's slow. So I think it's really important that nutrition, no matter what type of triathlete you are, is dialed in to help support your performance now and in the long term. Welcome to the podcast, Sarah.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So Sarah, for listeners that don't know you, can you give us a bit of a rundown about who you are and how long you've been doing triathlon for and how you got into the sport?
Sure. High school, I was actually on the JV swim team, so I actually got comfortable being on the water, being able to swim a little bit, but never really progressed real far in that. And I mean, I was just happy to finish my race and see if I improved a little bit. I mean, that's kind of all I did, see how much I could improve kind of thing. And I was in the Army for a few years, so I ran a little bit with that. And I remember sometimes saying Ironman race. I think Wide World of Sports with Ironman, everybody has this story almost. And so I was like, man, that would be neat to do one day. But it just kind of got put off on the back burner and didn't really think about it. And years and years and years later, I went through a big change in how I ate, lost a bunch of weight. I was in with a group of people one day and we were just sitting there talking. One of them said she had done a triathlon here in our area. I was like, ooh, maybe I need to look into this. I've been doing a little bit of strength training, but not a whole lot of real exercise activity at that point. And this was 2018, I think. Oh, 2017 is when she said that. Started looking it up online, volunteered at a local half distance a few months later. And I think 2 months after that, I was out there doing my first super sprint. So, and then it's kind of like so many people say, the rest is history, you get hooked. And so I've just continued to do it. And mostly sprints and Olympics. I've done a half distance aqua bike. And then I did a half distance triathlon last year. And I'm going my first Ironman branded race in September for 70.3.
And the rest is history. You've got some big goals coming up. And one of the things you do, Sarah, is call yourself a back of the packer. You always say the word slow, and you are so much fitter and faster than 99.9% of the population. But what does being a back of the packer mean to you, and why do you embrace it so strongly?
It's just where I am. I mean, I'm always towards the rear of people out there racing, unless it's one of those races where there's a lot of newbies there, and then I seem to do better. If there's only one or two in my age group, yeah, I can podium. But you get out to most of these races and just everybody out there. I mean, when you compare yourself to the people there racing, you're in the back of the pack. Yes, there's 99% of the people sitting on back at home not doing anything. But yes, but that's where I'm at. And
Yeah,
you know
and
what?
that's fine.
If I can get better, I get better, but I'm never going to be out there going for the Olympics or the podium and world championships or things like that.
You just love it. Like triathlon is one of those very all-inclusive sports, and it doesn't matter what sort of level or ability you are, everyone can be involved. And that's one of the joys and the loves of the triathlon as a sport and the community that surrounds it.
Exactly.
So you have had an incredible journey with your health, remission from cancer, managing osteoporosis while working as a parent and a busy physician. How does triathlon fit into that whole picture for you? You've got a lot going on.
I'll just make my workouts my priority. My nutrition has always been important to me. Eating for health, eating for the athletic endeavors, all that stuff. You just make that part a priority. It's you get up, you do your workouts, you go to work, you do your job, take care of what family stuff you need to, and get whatever sleep you can, and then whatever other things you can get done, well, they get done. Some people may not want to see what my house looks like a lot of times, but I function. It still works.
You can only do so many things in a day, right? Like some of those things you just
Exactly.
got to let it go.
Exactly.
Now, where did the big I want to do an Ironman or full distance race come from?
I don't know when I really decided that, but I mean, I think just seeing so many people they progress one level to the next, to the next, to the next. I do remember being at the ambassador camp we had in 2023, maybe. But it was at the Florida Ironman, and we were there doing our camp and then volunteered, and just being out there at the finish line watching all these people finish. I've been at St. George the year before at the World Championship watching the race for another camp. And I didn't have the same feeling in St. George, but seeing them at Florida, I was like, I want to be out there one day.
Yes.
I want to come down that finish chute and do that. I mean, it's a huge undertaking, but
yeah,
maybe, hopefully.
You've got such a good base now to do it. Do you think that getting your nutrition a bit more right for triathlon has been part of that confidence booster to go, I reckon I can actually do this and achieve this?
Definitely. I know before doing some half marathon runs, I'd gone out one race. I think it was the fourth one I'd done. I'd actually had my best time ever. But one of the things that I had heard before, podcast, YouTube, whatever it was you only need to eat 25% of what you burn. And so there was this one program had a calculator, and you put in the stats, how long it would take, your weight, your age, whatever, distance, all those things. It's like, okay, here's what you're going to burn. You only need 25% of that for calories. And I was like, I did it.
Does this still exist?
I was doing that. I haven't looked for that calculator again, but I think it might still be online.
Oh, no.
At least the last time I did look, it was there. And I was still at that point of my mindset was still very much along the lines of no sugar, no flour, no processed type things. And I was using dates and almonds pretty much out there for my races because that was more quote kosher in terms of the food program I had started with to lose all the weight and have continued following a lot of the principles. So I bunked about 9.5 miles in and was walking a lot for the rest of it. And I still had my best time yet.
I wouldn't have seen that bonk coming.
No, I was doing good. I can't imagine what time I could have gotten if I had a little bit better nutrition in that race. But I'm definitely taking in a lot more now, and I'm using a lot more of the sports products to fuel my stuff.
Thank God for that.
For sure.
So what were some of the things that you were doing with your nutrition before joining the Triathlon Nutrition Academy? Like you've always tracked calories and you came into the program doing that. You're eating quite routinely each day across each week and avoiding the processed sugars and flours. But what other things epitomize your approach to nutrition before getting some education around triathlon nutrition?
Way back years and years ago, at one point, I was like, eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full. And I definitely was eating less at a time, but sometimes I was eating more meals during the day, but much smaller meals. And I would lose weight with that and then start eating some other things. I mean, I several times have been like, okay, cut out the sweets and things and the junk food. And I was like, okay, you can have one serving a day of something, quote, junk food.
Yep.
And that would work for a while, but then I'd start eating more of it again. And I finally was like at the point of this, I need to just cut it out completely. And so I did. And that's what this one food program was like for losing weight and getting peace around food. But I just can't go by what they say of what to use for endurance activities. They say mix sweet potato or banana with almond butter and put that in a little baggie. I'm thinking, how in the world are you going to get enough of that out from a Ziploc bag when you're in the middle of trying to race? That just doesn't work. Or a bag of Triscuits and raisins. I'm like, no, I don't know that I want Triscuits and stuff. And how much you?
How are you gonna breathe?
How am I getting enough calories in doing this either? So that was there as well. At one point, I didn't count calories from the get-go. That didn't come until 2020 when I was working with another nutritionist specifically around triathlon and training and other stuff. But we never got into 2020. We weren't doing races, so we weren't worrying about that stuff. But I definitely lost some weight. He gave me some guidelines, and I've kind of just kept tracking the calories ever since. And even though it's not exact science with that, but it's a ballpark range. So it's kind of just what I kept doing. So I like the data.
All of that gives you a really good foundation for nutrition though, you know, like understanding your body's cues, like when you're hungry, when you're full, like cutting out junk food, all of those are really good principles to take into triathlon. And then it's just layering in the piece of, all right, how do we actually eat when we're training for 3 sports in a week? And your distances are just getting longer and longer the more you've been in the sport too.
Yep. So I have started using a little bit of flour. One type of bread I have, or a bagel, especially on my higher workout days, I'll add a little bit more carb in that way. So I'm kind of getting a little way from this other food plan, but still I'll follow a lot of their principles.
Yeah. And they sound like they have set you up for success too, which is good. So what are some of those changes that you've seen or you've implemented when you've learned how to periodize your nutrition?
I'm just adding in a little bit more food to eat on certain days. I'm making sure I was definitely getting some recovery in food afterwards, but I wasn't getting enough. I realized after I joined the academy, which I think is common for many, many people. So now my dinner actually is a good recovery meal because it meets all the criteria that I need for recovery. It's just sometimes it's 10 o'clock at night when I finish eating because my workouts get done in the evening.
Yep, that's okay. Get it done.
But that's my dinner is just about always going to match up where it needs to match up. So that works out good.
Have you ever had any other weird advice? Like the 25% of what you burn is just crazy. I'm actually going to go hunting for that calculator now and demand it gets taken off the internet. But have you had any other weird advice before joining TNA that you're like, yeah, this is right. This sounds good. And now you're like, oh my God, that was so bad.
I'm not going to say it was really good, but there was one other thing I remember specifically. I had seen, again, you go online, you look up stuff. Was listening to another podcast and she had a carb load calculator. I went in and did it and like, oh my goodness, you want me to eat that many carbs? And the 2 days before a race, I was like, holy moly. And so when I was meeting with another nutritionist as a one-time consult and said, yeah, I got some questions about a carb load. How much and everything else. And they told me, your taper is going to take care of your carb load. And that's all she said. I'm like, how in the world does it do that? Because you're not exercising, you're going to do more get more carbs in, and it just didn't seem to make sense to me. But that was the comment. And I haven't heard this person say more recently of when you're looking at your nutrition, when you're doing workouts, you need to add in some nutrition because if it's a longer ride or longer run, you kind of need to juggle a little bit. Do you need to cut down a little bit what you eat during the day otherwise because of what you're getting, the calories you're getting, especially when you're looking at wanting to lose a little bit of weight. And again, I'm looking at how do you juggle? You got to have enough coming in your daily stuff, but then you're burning all the extra stuff with the longer workout. You got to get more in there. So I'm not really going along with what this other person said anymore. But I know I got on the TNA, and we got a calculator to determine the carb load stuff, and I've used that in my last several races that have been longer, and I'm not bonking.
Funny that.
It's working a whole lot better.
I mean, carb loading is something that nobody knows how to do. You might be able to find some random advice on the internet like yourself, but nobody has ever come to me ever and known how to carb load properly. And your exercise taper will take care of it if you're eating the right things to start with. And nobody is doing that on a daily basis because everyone's carb phobic. So that's like the elite end of the spectrum where they're eating at a carb loading level just day to day. So all they need to do is taper. But that is a different kettle of fish to age group triathletes and in particular back of the packers. So interesting. It is honestly the Wild West out there. And I love asking that question because so much weird stuff comes back. So you've just done New York 70.3, Sarah. And is that your longest race to date, actually? Yep. How did your approach to like all of the training and the fueling heading into that go compared to any of the past stuff you've done? Past long distance running, long distance riding, or any of the shorter course triathlons before then?
I mean, shorter course, you don't have to worry quite as much about nutrition, but even for me, an Olympic distance is 4 hours. You got to do nutrition in a 4-hour race.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, I was even already then was having to practice and add some of that in and do it. I mean, it's definitely not as important as being out there for 8 or 9 hours doing a half distance for me, which again, for me, that's about where my time's going to be. I did one 70.3 distance that took me 9.5 hours, and they did not have the typical Ironman cutoff of 8.5 hours. So I was fine taking over 5 hours to finish the bike and stuff and things. But still, I definitely had to work on the nutrition with that as well. And then just layering on a little bit more here through this year. I mean, it's just going step by step by step, building up the carbs as you're doing your workouts and your long runs, and getting that more dialed in, getting comfortable with it and things, and just planning it out the right way so you know you're getting what you need to be able to complete everything.
Have you had any mental barriers in doing that, increasing your fueling, doing carb loading? Because I know we talked about it right in the beginning and you're like, Taryn, I can't eat this amount of carbohydrate. And I was like, you can. You just got to, practice, and it does take time, and part of it is a mental block. And have you noticed anything about that in yourself as you've increased your fueling and really tried to dial in nutrition for triathlon?
I mean, this year especially, I'm just going for it. I'm putting in the amounts I need of carbs. I've practiced the carb load already this season, and I mean every big race rehearsal and then the race itself. And I mean there have been different races already this year that I've put a carb load in there, and you just do it. It's working. I mean, I'm surprised at how many calories I've taken in with race rehearsals and things, but it's like, you know what? I got to make sure my gut's ready.
Yep.
You got to do it.
Just got to be at peace with that. And
then thankfully, a lot of times I do these races and I'm not home to get on the scale to see what it's doing.
Do you have any advice for back of the packers who think, like nutrition's not that important for me?
I would say you're going to be out there for a long time. You may not need as much nutrition as what the pros are taking in, but you still need to be getting your nutrition. Because if you don't get that nutrition, you're not gonna survive very well. You might make it to the end, but you're not going to be a happy camper getting there.
Yeah. And that is a big part of it, I think. Like, we do this sport because we love it, but then to have a horrible day on race day and cross the finish line, like feeling terrible and feeling rubbish, and then being absolutely wiped for weeks after too, is not really what we're about. Like, I love my athletes to race with a smile, cross the finish line with a smile and be like, yeah, I left everything out there. I'm still feeling good, and like I still love the sport, and I'm ready to do the next one.
Exactly.
What are you going to do differently then? You've got a couple of years to prepare. What are you going to do differently to get yourself ready to do a full distance event?
I'm going to be doing a lot more of strength training, trying to build up the muscles more so I can get stronger, get faster.
Yep.
So maybe I don't have to be out there quite as long. The nutrition is, from what I hear, going from a half distance to a full distance, it's a totally different beast. So that's going to be even more stuff to kind of work through and figure out what the best ways are going to be. Hard to imagine taking in all that sugar stuff for 16, 17 hours. So maybe coming up with some other food ideas that might work for me and something longer, and how to switch stuff up so I'm not getting tired of the same thing. Getting more sleep is going to be a big thing for me. That part of the recovery is still a challenge for me, which is not a nutrition based, but still that's going to help a lot with working towards it as well.
Is retirement on the cards anytime soon?
I haven't really looked at that yet. I mean, if I wanted to wait till I retire to do an Ironman, it might be years from now still. I mean, I still enjoy my job, so yeah, I haven't thought about retirement yet.
Yeah, you are the type of person that likes to keep busy, so you'll thrive. You thrive when there's lots to do and lots to fit into a day.
For the most part. I mean, even with doing a 70.3 prep and 2.5 hour long runs and bike rides that are 3.5 hour, building up to 3.5 hours and stuff. I mean, it makes for some long days sometimes. And I'm kind of glad when those races end and I can get back to my 50-minute runs and hour and 15-minute hour long bike rides and things like that. So
it is a lot. Maybe you could cut a day down or do half days or something like that.
That might be an option coming up at some point, but
yeah,
not quite ready for that yet.
No, you've got time. So I'm going to ask like the elephant in the room, because we have a lot of smart people in the TNA program. Like, we have physicians, we have surgeons, we have lawyers, we have accountants, we have engineers, like so many smart people. How come you couldn't figure out triathlon nutrition for yourself?
As a physician, we never got a whole lot of nutrition training in general. So, I mean, I've picked up quite a bit over the years to work with my patients about some of that, but we definitely don't get into the nuances of athletes and that type of thing. And then you go online and start listening to different things, and stuff contradicts with each other, and there's so many different opinions and things. So you just kind of wing it sometimes and just kind of go with what sounds like it might work. You try it. When it doesn't, you try something else.
Yeah. It is a minefield, and it's very confusing, even for highly intelligent people, physicians that have that medical background, not necessarily nutrition, but just trying to navigate so much information online that is often free. It's hard to then apply that to you and your situation in the fastest way possible, because you can, eventually you'll figure it out, but it's going to take you 10 times as long to get there without having that constant feedback loop and support loop of going, hey, what about this? Can I try this? Like, you always ask me some very curly questions, which I enjoy. So as a masters athlete, is there any advice that you would give to triathletes in the same sort of age bracket as you, other than don't do the race that you're doing so you can get on the podium? But for those that are like you, like health focused and want to stay strong in the sport for as long as they can be.
What advice would I give them? Take it one day at a time. Do what you can to stay as healthy as you can, get as strong as you can, and go out and enjoy it. Learn. You can keep learning. TNA is a great place to learn how to get the nutrition right, specifically for triathlon and races, whatever distance you want to do. And again, it's just keep going, but you really have to focus on just getting the next day in, and the next day, and the next day.
One step at a time. Great advice.
Yep.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your journey. I love how open you are about, some of the challenges that come with, being a back of the packer, but you really just embrace that and you're so proud to be there. And I love that about you, as well as all the huge goals that you're still chasing. And I think it's a really powerful reminder that nutrition isn't just for the pointy end. Like, it's not for those people that are aiming for the podium. It is just important for everyone out there on course. If you want to finish strong, have a smile on your face across the finish line and enjoy the sport and stay healthy for the long term. So if you've been listening today and you've thought, all right, I'm not fast enough for nutrition, or I'm not good enough, or it doesn't matter to me, then let Sarah be your proof that it absolutely does. And getting your fueling right can be the difference between struggling through, bonking, and still getting to the finish line, and actually feeling good on race day and the days after. Like, it's this big snowball compound effect when you get your fueling and nutrition right. So if you're ready to learn to fuel smarter, recover faster, and actually perform to the best of your ability, no matter where you are in that pack, then come and join us in the Triathlon Nutrition Academy. You can learn more at dietitianapproved.com/academy. Sarah, I'm so excited to see what you do in 2026 and beyond. We'll definitely be doing lots of crafty nutrition strategies for your full distance race when you're ready for that. And maybe we'll see you in Cairns 2026 for Team TNA when we take on the course there.
We'll see about that. Thanks so much, Karen. I've enjoyed this.
That's good. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll see you next week.